Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Daily Manchester United. We are less than a week away now from the Premier League getting underway when we face Arsenal for the opening day of the season. But before then, we've got lots of previews. We've even got a little bit of transfer news to hold and to bring you, and also the winners of the Snapdragon Cup. You'll never sing that. We're here to discuss everything pre-season. My name is Kieran and I'm here to be joined by Sam and Tom. Sam, welcome along. Welcome back. Fresh faces, of course. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, Kieran. Good. Feels good to be back and ready to get it all started again. Just as you said, under a week now until the football gets back underway. I think this summer's been a bit odd, really, because we had some football straight away with the Club World Cup, and then when it went away, I feel like I got used to sort of watching football constantly, and then I missed it, and now it's back again. So we love to see it and get it all started again.
And Tom, obviously as well, pre-season, ready to get into it. Are you ready to get stuck into what should be a pretty interesting season by all accounts?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, with Leagues 1 and 2 starting again last week and the Championship this weekend, we've just had the Premier League is not far away, and we are looking forward to the first batch of matches. Who's going to get off to the best of starts? Will Man Utd rebound from what was a really, really disastrous campaign last time out? Can Liverpool retain the Premier League title? It'll take some doing, I think, considering what they've gone out and bought and what they've sold. Will Arsenal finally break their duck after finishing second in the league 3 seasons in a row? Can Chelsea build on this FIFA Club World Cup success along with the Conference League? Can Newcastle continue their trophy habit, for getting their first trophy in 70 years? A lot of questions remain to be answered. But in terms of United, it's going to be a long season, but with the fact that we're playing a reduced amount of games compared to the previous seasons, it could be a blessing in disguise come May.
Yeah, I feel like it could be. This is the important thing, because I think right now the Premier League is in a really interesting and kind of bizarre place. I mean, as we're recording this, Crystal Palace have won the Community Shield, which is, now they've won one trophy, they can't stop winning stuff now. So interesting to see how Glasner and Crystal Palace face into the new season. But as you said, Newcastle also getting a trophy under their belts. I mean, we've been overdue some rogue winners or some outsider winners for a long, long time now, up at the top echelons of English football, and I'm glad to see it right now. But this also leaves an interesting mark for Manchester United, because obviously, yes, a couple of seasons ago we won the FA Cup, so it's not like we've gone on a barren run for long. But I feel like the competition's getting tougher. The tactics are starting to not just catch up, but those teams that may not necessarily have the quality are, pulling off what Leicester did. I'm going to say 10 years ago now, because that's bizarre. That's outrageous that was 10 years ago now. But, the hard graft is really coming back into these systems. The possession style of City is, getting exposed. You've got now Liverpool being some massive spenders in this window. Okay, it's been sort of a net, I think it's net 100 plus mil, but they've got some, Luis Diaz they've sold. They've sold Darwin Núñez as well. So, they've got some huge outgoings and ingoings. And one ingoing for Manchester United that everybody's going to be talking about now is the confirmation of Benjamin Sesko, who has chosen Manchester United over Newcastle United to join us for around about 78 million euros. It's going to be roughly 70 million pounds, there or thereabouts. It's a big price tag. It's been a common theme of this window for Manchester United. Tom, what do you make of the Sesko transfer?
It's a really interesting one. I mean, I'd have liked us to get Gyökeres if we could have helped it, but he's obviously gone to Arsenal. And I'd have also liked to have seen Jean-Philippe Mateta being thrown into the conversation for a place in that number 9 role. With Sesko, it feels more of a risk, but he earns the right to play in the Premier League, in my point of view. Was it the right time for him to go to United? I think, considering where United are, it probably is the right thing to do. He may not be playing in the Champions League, but I think in the last couple of seasons, Leipzig have really struggled in Europe. And if you're going to struggle in Europe, you may as well take a shot of going somewhere else. And I think Manchester United could well be the place to help him get up to that next phase of winning trophies, really, because it was tough for him at Leipzig. But United, if if it all comes together, especially with the signings of Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo in there, it's not going to guarantee us like 60 plus goals between those three, because it doesn't work like that. But it kind of gives the vibe that if they all work together and the performances are great, the results will start to align. And that's what we need this season, considering that we're playing a reduced schedule of matches.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's. I'm just looking at it here. He's 1.95 meters tall, which makes him about 6'4", roughly 6'5". So he's taller than me. So he's got to be good, though, right, Sam? He's got to be good. 41 appearances for Slovenia as well, 41 caps and 16 goals. It's not a bad return for Slovenia, is it? What do you expect from him at Manchester United?
Yeah, it's not. And the thing is, United have struggled really now for multiple years for strikers. We had Weghorst on a short-term deal, Ighalo, Cavani, all short-term deals. Obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo was a sort of short-term basis. And our last real bagsman goal scorer up front was Ibrahimovic, really. And you have to go back a couple years for him. And yeah, we've tried obviously Hoyland, and that transfer at the minute doesn't seem to be working out. And there are rumours now that Sesko's come in, that he might go out on loan. And to be honest, I think this, I might have said this at the back end of last season, that I think that would be a good sort of move for Hoyland, to sort of go out on loan to a club that can bag some goals and get his confidence up, and maybe come back when United as a club are in a different position as well. But in terms of Sesko, I think, look, there are always going to be question marks over his price tag. But to be honest, I just think that is sort of the market we're in for strikers at the minute. You've seen Gyökeres go for a lot of money to Arsenal. You've seen Ekitike go for a lot of money to Liverpool. And I wouldn't say these are sort of world-class strikers at the minute. I would say the only world-class striker that was being talked about is Alexander Isak, and I think he is probably worth the sort of 120, 150 million pound mark that's being placed on his head. Whereas you talk to the likes of Gyökeres, Ekitike and Sesko, and it's all about potential, and you're paying for that potential. And yeah, as you said, his return for Slovenia, is it? I think, yeah, is very decent. He scored, I think, maybe in the sort of teen goals last season for RB Leipzig. So yeah, it's a lot of money, and a lot of people are going to sort of obviously make that comparison with Hoyland, because it was around the same price tag Hoyland came to us, and he's around the same age. So of course there's going to be question marks, there's going to be comparisons, but at the end of the day, we needed a striker. All last season, our problem was scoring goals, and now we've sort of improved every area of that attack, with obviously Matheus Cunha and Bryan and Mbeumo coming in. I think there's more question marks over Sesko, because I think from English fans' point of view, we've seen Mbeumo and we've seen Cunha play in the Premier League and sort of prove themselves, where obviously Sesko coming from Germany, there are going to be question marks. And as I said, there are going to be comparisons to Hoyland coming over. And of course, we have to be cautious, but hopefully from a United point of view and our point of view, that he hits the ground running, and we can really start to see a number 9 spot really solidified now.
Yeah, he leaves RB Leipzig in the Bundesliga, 64 appearances, 27 goals and 7 assists. But as Sam has said, obviously, this is a pitfall that maybe we fall into with Hoyland, with spending big on a young talent. But what makes this different, Tom, the Sesko deal, to, say, the deal that we used to bring in Hoyland or Xerxi? What's the different style of player that we're bringing in?
Well, he's got a lot of height. We can say that for a fact. But I think that could be handy, though, when it comes to the corner kicks, especially because set pieces have been an Achilles heel for us last season, and maybe the season before that. But I think with Sesko, if he can link up well with Cunha and Mbeumo, because the difference with Sesko is that he's obviously not Premier League proven. But if he can link up straight away with Mbeumo and Cunha, which I think for the first game against Arsenal is going to be a little tricky for him, because he hasn't played a minute in Manchester United colours yet. It would have been great if we got him for that pre-season tour, but it is what it is. So he has to settle in very, very quickly. I would tip him to start against Arsenal. I think he could do with getting some minutes on under his belt before we start seeing him playing 90 minutes every single week. I don't think he'll play the whole game against Arsenal, but I think he'll play a good hour of it before Ruben Amorim decides to sub him off and bring in Joshua Xerxi.
I was thinking he probably wouldn't start for that reason. As you say, he hasn't played a lot of minutes in pre-season for Manchester United. He would have had some sort of pre-season with RB Leipzig. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, it'd be interesting to see, how it happens with Hoyland. Is he on the way out? Rumours are that he is. It's interesting as well if Xerxi is going to stay at the club. How will he go into the side, into the new season? A lot of questions up top. And what I would probably want to say as well after that, our final pre-season game against Fiorentina, was nice to finally actually for Old Trafford to say goodbye to David De Gea. It felt like, we could draw that line in the sand. Seeing him at Old Trafford was nice to see him at Old Trafford again. I have my quarrels with him, of course, but at the end of the day, it's always nice to see, a bit of a club legend return, even if it's just for the one game and against you. But that pre-season game, that last one against Fiorentina, both goals coming from Fiorentina, one of them being an own goal. Sam, is that a bit of a concern heading into the first game, or is that more of a relief that it's happening now so that we can learn from it before the first game?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't read too much into it. I just think it is one of those things. And of course, it probably is going to take time for that new attack to gel. I mean, we have a completely new attack, essentially, with those three up front now. And Ahmad is obviously going to have a heavy influence on that right wing back position. And Bruno may have to drop deep, as we've seen him do a few games last season as well. So I think yeah, it is going to take time for them to gel, and I wouldn't read too much into sort of that game against Fiorentina. My concerns are the defence now. I think, to be honest, our attack is sorted. I think it's pretty quality. I think I saw the game in pre-season over in America against Everton, and it was so free-flowing down that right-hand side, especially with Mbeumo and Ahmad. And just a word on Ahmad, by the way, he looks like he's come back even more confident than ever. He saw his little Panenka in the penalty shootout as well. I mean, the cheek of it. And I think he is definitely a player that United fans appreciate how good Ahmad is, but I really, really do think this season rival fans and other Premier League fans are going to realise how special this kid is, because I think last season we saw glimpses of it, and then obviously he got injured. But for those couple of months, even last season, he was saving us in games. I remember that game where he scored a hat trick against Southampton when we were I think 2-0 down or 2-1 down. And I honestly, just on Ahmad, I feel like he's going to get the appreciation he deserves this season. But on the attack, I feel like we will start to see sort of the fruits of the summer January transfer, and I feel like we will score a lot more goals. It's just about, will we score as many goals as we concede, in my opinion. So I think the defence has got a long way to go. I still feel like we need a centre half, another one, to be honest, in case of injuries. I still feel like we need another centre mid, to be honest. I know there was rumours of us going in for Baleba last week. I'd be surprised if that deal happens this late on as the season is about to get underway. And to be honest, the goalkeeper situation isn't one that fills me with confidence either. So yeah, the attack, I feel like we will start to see them work in conjunction with each other over time. But I think just keep an eye on our defence, to be honest.
I mean, defence as well, but there's been a couple of rumours, Manchester Evening News and TNT Sports, that say that Manchester United are in for Gianluigi Donnarumma of PSG, the goalkeeper. Tom, are those true? And how big of a signing could that be? And would you even want to see Donnarumma at Manchester United?
Of course I do. I mean, what doesn't lie is the fact that PSG are bought in a new goalkeeper, Lucas Chevalier from Lille, for 40 million euros. Surely that speaks volumes. Now, just because that has happened doesn't mean Donnarumma is going to go to Manchester United. It could be that PSG may want to field Chevalier for the league games, whereas using Donnarumma for the cup games, i.e. Europe, which is something that Barcelona did. If you remember, I think it was 2014-15 where they had Claudio Bravo in goal for the league matches and Ter Stegen for the European games. Is that something that Luis Enrique is trying to do? Because he was the manager of Barcelona with that system. So that could be something that they're trying to do, just to make sure that Donnarumma is not being used too much. Because they do need him for the most important games. Obviously, if either gets injured, then they know they've got a backup goalkeeper sorted out anyway. But it's, where does Donnarumma stand with it? Because he will want first team football. The issue with United is that they're not playing in Europe at all. But would he want to go to Old Trafford now? I would say, if he was to go to Old Trafford now, he would easily be in between the sticks ahead of Onana. And then what do you do with Onana? It's about shipping off these players if you know you're going to be signing the ones that have been linked. And once you get those, go on.
No, I was going to say that's true. I mean, it just brings in that dilemma as well. Buendia as well. Would he be the backup? Would Manchester United move him on? Onana, we know, is out with an injury. Possibly will miss the first couple of games of the season. It is that wonderful effect that it's just, we could try and bring in somebody and then worry about the consequences further down the line. But when Donnarumma, 26 years old, by the way, feels like he's been in football forever. He's made over 320 senior team appearances, both for obviously AC Milan and now Paris Saint-Germain. So he's got a wealth of experience underneath him at 26. As you say, Tom, it would be silly not to bring him in because he's a fantastic shot stopper. I would love to see him in Manchester United colours, but hey ho, the window's still open for a little bit of time, so anything's possible.
I was just going to say, Kieran, on this goalkeeper situation, I saw Jamie Carragher talk about it in the week, I believe, on the overlap, and he's dead on, by the way, in terms of every big club that pushes for serial trophies has that solid goalkeeper. I mean, you even go back to United's goalkeeper with the Schmeichels, with the Van der Sars, with the De Gea's. You have Liverpool. Obviously with Alisson in that last season, you've had Man City with Ederson, you've had Chelsea back in the day with the Czechs and the Courtois. If you want to be seriously challenging for trophies, you need a solid goalkeeper. There's no ifs or buts about it, and I think United are in a really struggling position at the minute with Onana, because if he plays anything like he plays, he's played in the first season and second season, we won't win anything this year, and that's just a fact. So if it was me, if we have the chance to sign Donnarumma, just off the off chance, you make that deal immediately if you're Manchester United. There's no debating, do we trust him? Donnarumma's a serial winner. He's won it all, the Euros, the Champions Leagues, the leagues. He's won it all. You get him in because you know instantly he's going to make such an impact in goal for United. And whether that seems harsh on Onana, unfortunately, he's been here for 2 seasons now and he hasn't made that position his own. So I think if you have the chance to sign him, you have to be honest. Especially, I think I saw the fee yesterday. I think it was in sort of the 20 odd millions. And for a goalkeeper like Donnarumma, who's only 26, you'd snap your arm off really for him, to be honest.
You would. I mean, there's a couple of sources that give wildly different transfer fees. I think TNT Sports give 28 million. Manchester Evening News say 56 to 60 million. So even the price is up in the air. So that's probably your clue that the deal's not quite there just yet. But we shall wait and see. We'll keep an eye on this space. One thing we do need to do is have a little bit of a quick break and save your ears a little bit. We'll be back after this. Yes, Sam channeling his inner Sir Alex Ferguson there and reminding us that attack wins games, but defence wins titles. We might not be in a position to win a title, Tom, this season, but what are your expectations? How happy have you been with pre-season? We've already had a bit of a discussion about the market. We can transfer it over to here. How happy have you been with pre-season?
Fairly satisfied. I think there's still some gaps open there. I think one thing we have to get right is having that recognised partnership in midfield, because I don't feel that is sorted just yet. I just don't know who would link up well with Fernandes in that particular part of the field. If he's dropping down into that 8 position, or 6 rather, whichever you want to call it, who's the best man to be alongside him? Because I feel like with Ugarte, as much as I do like him, he's never confident with the ball whenever he's on it. He's good at putting challenges in, that's clear, but he's not got the confidence when he's got the ball underneath him. Casemiro, he's good, but he can only be good for a certain period of the match. Manu, I'm not sure the Manu-Fernandes partnership works as efficiently as it needs to be. So that could be the reason why Carlos Baleba has been linked with a move to United. I don't think he'll come to us in this window, and I'm not sure we'll do in January, because we're not going to have the funds to do that. But next summer, I can imagine his price tags are going to go up. And if United get it right this season, he'll be next on the list. And if we get Donnarumma this window, that saves us having to go out and get him straight away, because there's going to be so many clubs out there that'll be asking for his signature. If we get it right now, that stops him from going to those rival clubs.
I just wonder as well, because there's a lot of money we've spent in pre-season. I mean, we're looking at nearly 200 million on bringing in new players at the moment. I'll ask the same question to you, Sam. How happy have you been with United's pre-season thus far? I say thus far, but that's pretty much it for pre-season.
Yeah, I mean, similar to Tom, where it's been okay, it's been decent. I mean, we've got quite a few wins. We've won the trophies that we've been in. I'll go back to what I said in the first part in terms of we've only kept one clean sheet in pre-season, and that was a 0-0 draw against Leeds where we didn't even score. So it has to be a concern if we're not even keeping clean sheets into pre-season. And we don't even really have injuries at the back anymore now. Aidan Heaven's back. Our core defense is back, apart from obviously Onana. But as I've said, I don't think he would do much help anyway, to be honest. But yeah, it's been okay. But it is interesting to see how we set up going forward into the new season, because you would like to think Mbeumo starts, you'd like to think Cunha starts and Sesko starts. So then where does that leave Bruno? Bruno has to play, so that means he drops further down into that sort of 8 position. So that means there's one position basically next to Bruno up to grabs between basically 3 players in Casemiro, Ugarte and Manu, and they all sort of bring... Well, Ugarte and Casemiro bring sort of similar things. Manu's probably the outlier who is that sort of box-to-box, someone who really puts the foot on the ball. But as Tom highlighted, in my opinion as well, I don't see that Manu-Bruno partnership working that well in the midfield. I don't think Ugarte, he doesn't fill me with a confidence at all either, because I think, yeah, he gets stuck in and he's a hard worker, but I think technically he lets us down on quite a few occasions. He's a bit hot and cold, very inconsistent, and as I said, I watched the game against Everton. I go back to that, and he was shocking in that game, to be honest. He got a yellow card, I believe, and got subbed off. So yeah, he doesn't fill me with confidence. And as Tom said, I agree with him with Casemiro, where I personally would start Casemiro out the 3 next to Bruno if you play Bruno in the 8, but you'll only get 60 minutes out of Casemiro, and then you've got to pick one of the 2 out of Manu and Ugarte. So yeah, it's a difficult one, and that's why I do think centre mid we are sort of lacking. We are still lacking that number 6 who is very solid, and you look across the board at the Rodris, the Caicedos, the Gravenberch. We're missing that, the Declan Rice. We're missing that real number 6 who's really solid defensively, who can control the game, because Bruno obviously is still our best player, but he's not that defensive unit in the midfield that we need as well. So I'd say that is a concern. And on the transition, I think we still are going to have problems. And I think the first game of the season against Arsenal, we're going to really find out sort of the runners between the riders, because I think they can really hit us on the break with their attack going forward. And I would hate to see Gyökeres get a goal against his best friend Almiron, but unfortunately, I'll go back to it. If we don't sort out that defence soon, and I don't think we're going to do it this window, so I think we are sort of going to have to go in and deal with what we have. I feel like we are going to have real issues. And the only and another concern I have is we do have depth in centre backs. We have Heaven, Martinez, De Ligt, Euro. But it's will they get injured? Are they reliable enough? Where we saw last season, we ended up in some games. Johnny Evans played some games. Lindelof, and look, I know we said about Maguire that he's been decent of late. We can't be starting games with Maguire in 2025 anymore. Like what are we doing? So
I'm absolutely going to attack you there, Sam, because I think Maguire's, come of age, but I feel like, he's had a lot of hardship. He's bounced back. I don't think he's as bad as you say he is, especially if you've got him in the centre of that centre backs, and you've got, say, Heaven and Euro, who are the pacier centre backs beside him, who can run, or push forward a little bit because they can recover. I feel like Maguire can be the one who just wins the ball in the air. He's good at that.
Don't get me wrong. I think he's a solid defender, but I don't think he's Man United level defender. If we really want to be challenging for trophies, like major trophies, which I admit isn't going to be for a couple years, but if we want to even get to that point, we can't be playing Maguire. Like, it's just, he is solid and he's a unit and he wins headers and he gets stuck in. And I'm not hating on him, but he'd be a good defender for Crystal Palace. He's not Man United level, you know what I mean? And even Crystal Palace have Mark Gay at the back, so they wouldn't even take him right now, So, look, I'm not, and it's not about Maguire. We've said he's had, and I rate, to be honest, how he's come back and he has sort of revitalized his Man United career, and he has fought for that position where you go, you know what, like he actually could get into the squad now, maybe potentially with our centre backs. But I just think that's where our level of centre-backs are at right now, where you're actually debating whether Maguire should start. I think all of our centre-backs are very decent, but I think they're a bit inconsistent. I think some games are really good, some games they go missing. So that's my only concern, really.
I really wanted you to bring out the Gattuso press conference there when you were saying that, but exactly, never mind. Yeah, it's family-friendly, this pod. Yeah. Tom, final question. Where will Man United finish this season?
Either 6th, 7th or 8th. Do you want me to go for one position? Are you happy with that?
I mean, go for one position. If you want to lock it in, we can look back at this in 9 months' time and see how close we all were.
I'll be generous and go 6th.
Generous. Okay. That would be on the cards. That's probably either Europa League or Conference League, depending on how competitions pan out. Sam, where do you reckon?
Tom, mate, I rate the confidence. I really do. But if we go from where were we? 16th to 6th.
15th, Sam. I'll think you're fine.
Sorry, 15th. If we go
better than you thought.
6th, then I mean we might do. And look, I haven't made my preseason predictions for the whole table yet. I usually do that the day before the season starts to see the Community Shield and the Super Cup, see how those teams play out. But if I had to say right now where I think, well, we should be aiming top half. There's no doubt about that. Where I think, off the top of my head, and this might change come Thursday, I'll go 8th. I'll go 8th. Get us maybe conference,
I was thinking 8th as well. I was thinking top half, I think, is doable.
Yeah.
I just think we'll miss out on Europe this season, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. Just financially, it might be a bad thing, which, as we all know, has been the hot topic. But if we can splash out 200 million in this summer market, I don't think we're in as bad as a position as they say we are. Hey ho. So Tom is locking. Are you locking in 6th, Tom?
Yes.
Okay, I like the confidence. I like it.
Because something tells me if we get Donnarumma, I don't think we will, but let's just say we do, I think we will finish 6th minimum.
I like it. Well, obviously, Tom's predicted 6th. Sam and I are going boring. We're going 8th place because neither of us is going
to. Kieran, what I would say is Tom's right there, and if we somehow in a week's time manage to get either Donnarumma and Baleba, then my prediction will change. But also going back to what Tom said at the start, I think it was Tom or you, Kieran, where someone said one game a week this season will definitely help us 100%. I just don't see us doing that massive jump this year, but who knows, so.
It's a funny old game, the Premier League, isn't it? We've got Newcastle and Palace winning trophies after, Newcastle's drought and Crystal Palace never winning a trophy before. So, look, things are changing in football. We'll see what happens. Let us know where you think at this stage Manchester United will be finishing in the league. There's only 38 games to play, plus a couple of cups along the way. We'll see how it all pans out. Thank you so much for listening along to the Daily Manchester United. Perhaps you've been on YouTube as well and watching along. If you're listening on Spotify or on Apple and you'd like to watch our lovely faces instead, you can head over to the YouTube channel, which is the Daily GSPN Daily Manchester United podcast. It's so long, so you'll definitely remember it. I'm sure you will. You can follow us on all the social medias as well. It's at GSPN Man United. We are on TikTok, we're on Twitter and X, we're on Instagram, and we're on Facebook. So follow us where and when you like. I've been Kieran. We've also had Sam and Tom on the podcast. We'll see you again in the next episode. Until then, take care of yourselves and we'll speak to you soon.